All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're dissecting a really massive AI agent failure to uncover a pretty surprising truth. You see, preventing an automated disaster often comes down to something as seemingly basic as the precise naming and metadata tagging of your tool catalog. If you're building agentic systems for enterprise operations, the stakes here are absolutely sky high. So, we're going to look at how to build a secure catalog that acts as your absolute first line of defense.
Picture this. We're looking at the AltStack v2 incident. The whole thing kicks off with this totally innocent-looking Tier 1 support ticket from a user named Reza. He just says, "Stuck in support flow. Can you reauth my Okta?" Now, that is the kind of routine request an IT service management agent handles hundreds of times a day, right? But what happened next was anything but routine.
What followed was a total catastrophe. Literally 18 active sessions across Okta, Slack, Salesforce, and Confluence were instantly revoked. Reza was kicked out of 3 live customer calls in real time. The agent just completely, unapologetically nuked his entire working environment.
And, this perfectly illustrates the real danger here. The agent wasn't hallucinating over those 90 seconds. It was dutifully following instructions inside a state machine bug. At 11:42, it read the prompt, called a tool named revoked session, and got a success response. But because the system never advanced to the next state, it just looped. The tool had 0 safeguards, so the AI just kept firing. 18 times in a row, just boom, boom, boom.
Okay, so to make sure V3 never repeats this mess, we are running a full autopsy and rebuild. We'll quickly hit the paradigm shift, the 5 control surfaces, the 4-axis metadata block, how to build a secure tool, and finally some major pitfalls to avoid.
Let's start with part 1, the Agent API paradigm shift, plain text versus code.
So here's the huge aha moment Yuko's architecture review uncovered about how these agents actually read APIs. Unlike traditional software that registers distinct compiled classes, AI agents read your tool catalog as plain text. It's just concatenated directly into their context window. When you hand a list of tools to an AI, you aren't compiling code. The model is literally just reading the names and descriptions like a text document, and it's making decisions based on semantics. Plain and simple, the names are the API.
Moving right into part 2, the 5 security control surfaces, which is really your first-line authorization.
Since the agent is just reading everything as text, your traditional endpoint security, that's not going to cut it anymore. To reduce the blast radius, the prompt itself is your authorization layer. Things like tool descriptions, parameter schemas, and even the literal order of tools in the catalog shape what the model considers a natural sequence of actions.
Just think about this comparison. If you name a tool delete_user, the model sees the word delete in a prompt and immediately reaches for it. It's just too tempting. But what if you call it archive_inactive_user_ with owner approval? That heavily structured name tells the model the exact preconditions right out of the gate. It forces both the AI and human auditors to review the rules first, acting like a massive cognitive speed bump.
That brings us to part 3, the 4-axis metadata block. This is the load-bearing framework of our whole explainer today.
Think of this framework as your ultimate grading rubric. Every single tool in your catalog must declare these 4 axes: blast radius, authentication context, idempotency token rules, and PII or secret handling protocols. Is it just reading data or irreversibly mutating a system? Can the agent go solo or does it need human sign-off? Answering these 4 questions isn't just a best practice, it's completely non-negotiable.
Now this is absolutely crucial. The golden rule, the cross-axis invariant, is that authorization context must escalate with blast radius. The fatal flaw in AltStack v2 was violating this exact invariant rule. They actually allowed a mutate irreversible action to operate with agent-only authorization. You simply cannot hand an AI unilateral authority to permanently delete a session without a human signing off. It's a recipe for disaster.
Let's put this into practice with part 4, building a secure tool, specifically propose_resolution.
Okay, so we're building a tool for drafting replies for human review. Verb-noun naming, check. We map the 4 axes, check. But let's really focus on step 2, the negative kill criterion. By explicitly telling the model when not to call the tool right in the description, we protect against indirect prompt injections that might try to trigger it maliciously. Telling the AI what it shouldn't do is literally just as critical as telling it what it should do.
And listen, even for a harmless drafting tool, you absolutely need an idempotency token. This solves our second huge failure point.
A unique key ensures that if that 90-second loop bug happens again, we don't get duplicate drafts and massive operator confusion. If the tool gets the exact same request identifier over and over, it safely collapses it into a single action. It basically just says, hey, I already did this, no op, instead of compounding the error.
Finally, part 5. Pitfalls to avoid, or essentially, what your continuous integration linters need to catch.
When you're building out your catalog, your linters have to be ruthless about blocking these 5 major pitfalls. For example, keep in mind that even read-tier tools like Lookup Ticket must have their PII handling set to member PII redacted. If a tool fetches a ticket and dumps an unredacted email address into the agent's context window, that agent might accidentally leak it later. Read-only absolutely does not mean risk-free.
So I want to leave you with this provocative thought to chew on before your next architecture review. If an agent reads everything as plain text, how much blast radius are you risking just by naming a tool too simply? Think about the catalogs you're building right now. Are you naming them for your engineers, or are you naming them to secure the behavior of an AI? Because that shift in perspective, that is exactly what separates a helpful copilot from an automated disaster.